Well, according to the Kelly Blue Book, the average price of a new car hit an all-time high, and used car prices month over month were down 1.1%. Get this, $50,000 is the average cost.
That's about 93% more than the price of a used car, which will put you back $26,000.
Dealers across America are flat out refusing trade-ins on cars that were worth real money just a few years ago. They are not lowballing. They are saying no. And if your car is on that list, every month you wait is costing you thousands of dollars you are never getting back. The title of this video is not a scare tactic. 15 specific cars are turning into financial traps in 2026. And if you own one, you need to know why dealers are refusing them and what you can do before your equity disappears completely. Because 15 cars dealers are refusing on trade-ins in 2026, dump yours while you still can, is not a theory. It is what is already happening in appraisal offices right now. Some of these are normal family crossovers. Some are trucks contractors rely on every day. And some are expensive plug-in hybrids that owners are being told not to park in their own garages. In one case, a guy who paid nearly 70 grand for a Jeep Wrangler 4xe was offered $26,000 on trade 2 years later and then turned away by other dealers outright. He still owes more than $40,000 on a vehicle he cannot safely use the way he bought it. That is not a market correction. That is abandonment. And it is not the only story like that. So the question you need to ask yourself is simple. Is your car quietly turning into one of these 15 without you even knowing it? There is a pattern here. It is not about you missing oil changes or driving too many miles. It is about manufacturers overbuilding the wrong vehicles, walking away from whole segments, and rolling out tech they cannot properly support. It is about brands shrinking their dealer networks and leaving owners with nowhere to go when it is time to trade out. The dealer looking at your keys is not just seeing a car. They are seeing inventory. They might sit on for months, recalls they cannot fix, and buyers who have already moved on to other badges. Their solution is simple. They refuse the trade or price it so low you walk out. The good news is, you are not powerless. If you understand why these 15 cars are getting hammered in 2026, you can make a clear decision about your own. Dump it now, hold it, and ride it into the ground, or change the way you approach your next purchase so you never end up in this position again. And there is one place where this entire pattern shows up before it hits your driveway: the trade-in desk at your local dealership. That is why we are going to walk through all 15 cars dealers are refusing in 2026. From the quiet bleeders that are draining value slowly to the full-blown recall nightmares that nobody wants on their lot. Because once you see what is happening to them, you will understand exactly what is about to happen to you. Most people think trade-in value is only about mileage, condition, and how well you kept up with maintenance. That used to be true. In 2026, those things matter, but only after the market finishes punishing entire brands. When a manufacturer shrinks its dealer network, like Mitsubishi quietly closing stores across the country, everyone doing appraisals knows service is getting harder, warranty work is getting farther away, and buyers are getting more nervous. When a brand lets a sedan or SUV die with no replacement, like Chrysler 300 fading out, or Chevrolet walking away from the Malibu, the message to the market is simple. This model has no future. And when a plug-in hybrid racks up multiple fire-related recalls without a clear fix, like those Jeep 4xe models, dealers see legal risk parked right on their lot. That is why the stories you are about to hear all look the same from the dealer side. A car that seemed like a smart buy a few years ago now comes with a shrinking buyer pool, ugly depreciation charts or a recall notice that tells owners to park outside and pray. A retiree who babied his Chrysler 300 for 3 years gets told the store is not taking any more at all, not even at a low number. A grandmother who paid $50,000 for a Buick Enclave is offered $11,000 after 4 years and thinks the system pulled the wrong VIN. A dad who bought a Nissan sedan because it fit the payment finds out it now carries a rental car stigma and a brand that publicly says sedans are no longer the future. None of those owners did anything wrong, but all of them are paying for decisions made far above their heads. If you own one of these cars, the timing matters more than you think. In some cases, every new quarter adds another few $1,000s of loss as wholesale values slide and more used inventory piles up at auction. In others, the damage has already been done, and waiting will not make it much worse. It will just lock you into the reality that your car is worth far less than you hoped. Knowing which situation you are actually in is the difference between cutting your losses now and being stuck underwater for years. That is why, before we go car by car, you need something more than a list. You need a way to spot these traps before you sign another loan or bring another set of keys to a dealership. That is exactly why I put together a free guide called Avoid These 17 Cars in 2026. It walks you through the kinds of brands, body styles, and technologies that are setting owners up for the same kind of punishment you are about to see in this list. Use it as a filter before you buy, before you trade, and before you co-sign on anything in this market. The link is in the description. Download it and keep it open while we go through these cars so you can see how the patterns line up in real time. Because when you are done watching this and done reading that guide, you should never again walk into an appraisal blind and hope for the best. Now, let's start where the damage is still quiet enough that most owners have not noticed yet. These are the cars dealers are not officially blacklisting, but are already treating like radioactive inventory. They are not catching fire. They are not filling headlines. They are just quietly bleeding away your equity with every passing month. We are talking about crossovers and sedans that seem sensible on paper, but are now stuck between stronger competitors, shrinking dealer bodies, and brands that have no clear plan for the next 5 years. If you see your keys in this first group, you are early enough to make a decision before everyone else figures it out. A lot of these quiet bleeders share the same 3 problems. First, their brands have fallen behind on product updates, letting older platforms limp along while rivals moved on. Second, their manufacturer has made it clear that future investment is going somewhere else, usually into trucks or electric vehicles, which tells the market these models are disposable. Third, their resale is getting crushed by fleet and rental exposure, which floods auction lanes with the same car over and over at lower and lower prices. None of this is obvious when you are just changing the oil and rotating the tires. It shows up the first time a dealer prints an appraisal and slides it across the desk. As we move further down the list, you are going to notice something else. Once the market decides a nameplate is done, the decline speeds up. Depreciation that was in line with the segment suddenly jumps 10 or 20 points worse than average. Offers that would have been respectable last year are now laughable. Loyal owners who plan to trade into the next version discover there is no next version. This is where you need to be brutally honest with yourself. If the only reason you are holding your car is because of what you paid for it, not what it is worth today, you are already in the danger zone. The market does not care about your payment history. It only cares about what it can realistically sell your car for in the next 60 to 90 days. Then we hit the vehicles that turn this from a money problem into a safety problem. Plug-in hybrids with unresolved fire risks are in a category all their own. It is one thing to lose $10,000 or $15,000 of value faster than you expected. It is another to be told to park outside, away from structures, and to stop charging the car you bought specifically for its electric capability. When dealers start refusing these cars on trade until a permanent fix exists, owners are trapped. They cannot sell for what they owe. They cannot fully use the product they paid for. And they cannot get a straight answer on when or if this will be resolved. On top of that, there are trucks and SUVs caught in pure inventory mistakes. Manufacturers cranked out far more units than the market could absorb, then turned on the incentive fire hose to move them. That might sound like a win for new buyers, and in the short term it is. But for anyone who owns the previous model years, it is a disaster. When a brand new truck with full warranty is selling for thousands below sticker because of factory cash, nobody wants to pay strong money for last year's used one with more miles and less coverage. So dealers push trade-in values down to protect themselves from getting buried in stale inventory. When you put all of this together, you start to see the real story of 2026. Car values are not just about condition, they are about corporate strategy, factory output, dealer survival, and regulatory headaches. You are standing at the very end of a decision chain that started years ago in a conference room you will never see. You did not decide to overbuild that truck. You did not sign off on that battery supplier. You did not choose to kill that sedan. But you are the one who either eats the loss or gets out early. And pretending that your car will be the exception does not change the math. If there is one thing I want you to take away from this, it is that you still have options. You can choose to dump a car in a bad position now, even if it stings, and free yourself from being dragged deeper underwater. You can choose to keep a vehicle you love and ride it for the long haul, knowing that its value is already written down and not coming back, but at least you are getting the use out of it. You can choose to be ruthless on your next purchase, focusing less on monthly payment and more on brand stability, inventory discipline, and recall history. Or you can do nothing and let the market make all those choices for you. If you want help making those decisions, that is exactly what my free guide, Avoid These 17 Cars in 2026, is built for. It is not just another list of scary headlines. It is a breakdown of the exact patterns you watched play out in these 15 cars and how to spot them in anything you are thinking about buying. Use it before you sign, before you trade, before you refinance. The link is in the description, because the truth is simple. Someone is going to pay for the mistakes the manufacturers made. It can either be you, quietly, over the next few years, or it can be the person who never watched this video, never read that guide, and walked into the same trap you just learned how to avoid. The thing most people never see is how early the warning signs show up. You can spot them before they hit your trade-in value if you know where to look. It starts with headlines about plant shutdowns, production cuts, or strategic pivots away from sedans, or certain powertrains. It shows up in stories about brands closing dealerships in your state or forcing stores to consolidate with other nameplates. It shows up when you notice that the car you bought 3 years ago suddenly has massive cash on the hood for new buyers, while nobody wants yours at a fair price. Those are not random glitches. They are the early stages of the same pattern that crushed the owners in the stories you just heard. Think about the Chrysler 300 owner who found out his car was effectively orphaned. First, the manufacturer decided sedans were a dead end. Then they quietly wound down production. Then dealers started getting stuck with aging inventory that nobody was asking for. By the time loyal owners walked into trade, the model was not just old, it was toxic. The same curve is now forming under other nameplates, especially in brands that have publicly announced their exit from certain segments. If your car lives in one of those segments, you cannot afford to pretend none of this applies to you. The same is true on the tech side. Plug-in hybrids and electric vehicles are not bad ideas, but when a brand bolts advanced technology onto a shaky support system, the owner becomes the stress test. A recall letter telling you to park outside is not just an inconvenience. It is a confession that the system was not ready for real-world use at scale. When that confession happens after you signed a 5 or 6 year note, you are the one holding the liability. Dealers see that risk clearly. They see the lawsuits, the headlines, the buyback pressure. That is why some of them will not touch those trade-ins until the manufacturer proves the problem is truly fixed, not just patched. Then you have the trucks and SUVs caught in inventory floods. Those stories all follow the same script. A manufacturer chases high margins by overproducing a hot segment, ignores early signs of demand softening, and keeps plants running at full speed. Inventory piles up on dealer lots. Floor plan costs climb. Dealers start screaming for relief. The factory answers with massive incentives, special APRs, and employee pricing events that drag transaction prices down. New buyers celebrate. Used owners pay. The used market has to reset around those lower new prices, and it does that by cutting trade-in values like a knife. If you are driving one of those trucks, every extra month you hold it, while the incentive fire hose is still running, is a month of accelerated loss. The depreciation you thought would be spread over 5 or 6 years is getting compressed into the next 12 to 18 months. Waiting for things to bounce back is like waiting for a popped balloon to reinflate itself. The air is already gone. The market is not sentimental. It does not care what your payoff is. It cares what the next buyer will realistically pay in a world flooded with discounted options. So what do you actually do with all of this? You start by being brutally honest about which category you are in. If your car is on that list of 15, or looks suspiciously similar to the stories you just heard, you probably fall into one of 3 buckets. First, the cut your losses group. You still have some equity, but it is shrinking fast as auction values slide. Second, the ride it into the ground group. The value hit has already happened, and you are better off squeezing every last mile out of the car than locking in a loss on a trade. Third, the trapped and underwater group. You owe far more than the car is worth because of recalls, brand collapse, or inventory mistakes you did not create. If you are in the first group, hesitation is your enemy. Every new batch of bad headlines, every new incentive program, every new recall pushes wholesale prices lower. The dealer is not guessing when they give you a painful number. They are looking at live market data. If the numbers are ugly today, they will not magically improve in 6 months unless something dramatic changes at the manufacturer level. Acting now might mean swallowing your pride, taking a smaller down payment than you hoped, or even selling private party to claw back a few extra dollars. But you still have leverage. You still have options. That window does not stay open forever. If you are in the second group, the game changes. The car has already fallen off the value cliff. The market has written it down. At that point, your best move may be to accept that the resale story is over and switch to a use story. Drive it for as long as it remains safe and affordable to maintain. Get every ounce of utility out of the money you already spent. Every extra year you keep it without a major repair effectively lowers your true cost per mile, even if the book value never recovers a dime. You did not win the resale game. You can still win the usage game if you stop chasing an equity number that is never coming back. If you are in the third group, the trapped group, the priority is getting control. That might mean talking to your lender about refinancing if your rate is high, just to lower the monthly pressure while you plan your exit. It might mean aggressively paying down principal so you can reach break even faster. It might mean bypassing the dealer altogether and hunting for a private buyer who values the vehicle's strengths more than the market does. None of that feels fair. None of that feels like what you signed up for. But it is better than pretending the problem is going to solve itself while interest keeps accumulating. For your next car, the rules are completely different from what most people still believe. You are not just buying a model. You are buying into a company's future decisions. Before you fall in love with anything on the lot, you should be asking a few simple questions. Is this brand growing or shrinking its dealer network? Has this model been quietly rumored to be discontinued? Is this powertrain still core to the company's strategy, or is it something they are already pivoting away from? Are there early recall patterns showing up on forums and owner groups that the marketing brochures will never mention? This is where doing your homework pays off more than ever. Look at how many units the brand sells in a year. Look at how many stores they have closed. Look at how their other models have held up in resale over the last 5 years. Look at whether they are burying buyers in incentives today to move metal, because that same strategy is what will hurt you when it is time to get out. You do not need to become an analyst. You just need to stop treating a $40,000 or $50,000 decision like an impulse purchase. That is why that free guide, Avoid These 17 Cars in 2026, exists. It is not there to scare you away from the entire market. It is there to give you a lens. Once you see how dead brands, overbuilt segments, fragile dealer networks, and ugly recall records connect, you cannot unsee it. You will spot the red flags faster. You will ask better questions. You will walk away from deals that look good on a monthly payment screen, but make no sense once you factor in resale risk. And you will stop assuming that just because a car is shiny and new today, it will still be a healthy asset 3 years from now. You do not have to become paranoid. You just have to stop being naive. Manufacturers are going to keep making big bets on technology, segments, and marketing stories. Some of those bets will pay off. Others will blow up. The difference between people who get crushed and people who stay ahead is simple. The people who get crushed trust that the brand has their back forever. The people who stay ahead assume nobody is coming to rescue their equity and act accordingly. At the end of the day, you have more power than you think. You can decide when to exit. You can decide what brands you support. You can decide how much risk you are willing to take on a new tech package or an unproven segment. You can walk away from a dealer who shrugs at a recall. You can say no to a car that looks good, but lives in the same danger zone as the 15 you just watched. Or you can sign the paperwork, hope for the best, and find yourself telling the same story in a few years about how you walked in expecting a normal trade-in and walked out feeling like the system glitched. If you have watched this far, you are already ahead of most people. You know which cars dealers are refusing in 2026 and why. You know how brand decisions, recalls, and inventory mistakes land directly on your balance sheet. You know that waiting blindly can be more expensive than making a hard choice now. The only thing left is what you do with that knowledge. So before you close this video, grab that free guide. Avoid these 17 cars. In 2026, go through it with your current car and any car you are thinking about next, and give yourself the one advantage the market will never hand you on its own: clarity. Because the cars on this list did not become disasters overnight. The signs were there. The patterns were clear. The losers were just not looking for them. Now you are.